So I'm baffled. For years, I've heard people teach that Satan was in charge of the music. And I just ran across a woman online who was preaching about Satan in our music industry. Now, do I doubt that wickedness is in the industry? Not at all. There is a lot of negative influence in the industry, even morally speaking. So, aside from spiritual content and biblical content, there is literally wickedness in the industry. But the point of this video is that she was teaching that Ezekiel 28 says that Satan was in charge of the music. And it's funny because I've seen this false teaching a lot in the church. And so let's look at Ezekiel 28. The only verse that could even resemble speaking of musical instruments, such as vocal cords, organ pipes, instrumental pipes, it even mentions tambourines. That would be Ezekiel 28:13. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Now, this word tabrets means timbrel, and timbrel can also be translated as tambourine. Therefore, the church has literally created an entire image of Satan based on one word, technically two, because they're misunderstanding timbrel, that they falsely interpreted. When I originally was putting this lesson together, I was focused on the word pipes, and then I realized I need to also include timbrels, so I'm kind of throwing it in the mix and hoping this comes out okay. So only one word, pipes, but also the word timbrel. So in two words, they took that one verse and created an entire character of Satan out of it. And then they go and preach lessons on it. Nothing else in that entire chapter even resembles speaking of anything that can be slightly related to music. So their entire doctrine is based on this one verse. And it's ironic that they would read in a verse all about these precious stones and then just throw in the music leader reference at the end. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with the context of the entire chapter. The word pipes is only used in some translations, such as the King James Version. I'm not saying that the word pipes was translated incorrectly. Pipes is still correct. It's still correct to use the word pipes. What I'm saying is that the carnal mind is interpreting that word pipes incorrectly. What they are saying it means is not what it means. Because pipes is not talking about vocal cords or musical instruments. The entire verse is speaking poetically about the precious stone, Satan, represented as the ruler of the city of Tyre, that Satan was adorned with. So in Ezekiel 28:13, it says, here it's timbrels of your timbrels and pipes for you. So we're going to look at pipes. Pipes, literally a technical term of jeweler's work, probably some hole or cavity. Imagine when you get a ring, you have to set that stone in the ring. Well, you're setting it in that hole or cavity. In Ezekiel 28:13, it's literally thy sockets and thy grooves, or thy settings and thy sockets. What does this have to do with musical instruments? Or vocal cords? It's a bezel for a gem, a pipe. So as we just saw, the pipes were the fittings God created to place these precious stones in. But what about the tabrets, which is also translated as timbrels, tambourines? Wrong. The timbrel was also symbolic of celebration. So here we see timbrel. It's a sign of merriment and gladness. It's a sign of triumph. And it's used by prophets in ecstasy. It's used as a symbol of praise to God. Tabrets, or drums and pipes, were a common expression for festivity and triumph. And I'm going to disagree with what this commenter says right here, because he includes the pipes in with this. And we just saw that the pipes have to do with the gems, whereas the tabrets have to do with celebration. So when we further look into these timbrels, the workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created. So either born into the world or made crowned a king. So remember, we're talking about the ruler of the city of Tyre here, or Tyre, against which time drums and pipes and such like instruments of music were prepared in Tyre, and at them made use of by the way of rejoicing. So this is all symbolic of praise and worship and celebration and joy. And this was literally true of the king of Tyre at his coronation. So of the Bishop of Rome at his creation and inauguration, which is attended with the bells and ringing, drums beating, trumpet sounding. And so in mystical Babylon is heard, though the time is coming when it will not be heard, the voice of harpers, musicians, pipers, and trumpeters. This is Revelation 18:22. So we see that all of this comes together, and none of it has to do with being the leader of music. So these two references were the stones and breastplate of a high priest. All those stones were listed, and this is part of that cavity that the stones go into, the breastplate that was created for a high priest. All these stones fit in the breastplate. And then again, the timbrels was represent of the celebration of being crowned, of being born, at your birth, which for us would be when we're actually born again, where we got a lot of people out there saying, I'm born again, and they are not. These two references, again, were these breastplate and celebration of being crowned. But it was all cast down when he made himself be God and put his own wisdom above God. Jesus is now the high priest and the ruler. The irony of their false wisdom and the false gospel that they preach is that is literally what Satan was guilty of, and what him got cast down from heaven in the first place. He set his wisdom above God. He made himself be God. This is that wisdom that God speaks of in the beginning of the chapter, where his wisdom got him riches, like Solomon's fall also, which, by the way, is the true meaning of 666, as it was symbolic of Solomon's downfall, as he received 666 talents of gold in the first year when he started bringing evil doctrines of the world into God's holy temple. When he started realizing that he could please many people with his wisdom, so-called wisdom, he started getting very wealthy, very powerful, and people flocked to him and just gave. They gave and gave and gave. Again, Jesus Christ is the high priest, and and the king, the ruler. Like I said, I'm trying to fit this together at the last minute, including timbrels. So he is the high priest and the ruler. And I'm going to end this lesson on that note.